The Produce Gaps Harmonized Audit was developed approximately 2 years ago. Now, this goes back to my previous slide with the multiple audits needed by growers or producers, packers. This was developed with the idea of reducing the amount of audits that a company would have to get. Approximately 300 stakeholders from production, retailers, auditors, and government came together and developed this audit. They went through approximately, I think, 14 different audits and discovered that most of the audit standards and checklists were about 90% the same. And then so the other 10% covered areas that may go into non-food safety issues, maybe such as safety in regards to employee safety or some other political issues. So with that, they developed a steering committee and technical working group and developed this standard, which is owned by United Fresh, and it's available on the United Fresh website. USDA is moving towards performing that audit and going away from our USDA GAP GHP audit. So in the future, I would say in another year or two, we probably will be focusing on that audit. The USDA GAP GHP audit essentially covers the entire production chain from farm to fork, and it's broken down into 6 sections, or what we call scopes. We also offer an additional optional food defense scope. The food defense scope it differs from all of the other scopes in regards to it's not so much food safety, preventative food safety. It's in regards to microbial contamination. It's more in the area of reducing the chance of intentional contamination. So I saw that on your food safety, your planning, your homework, and you were supposed to look at our audit, or you were given the option of looking at our audit on our website. So I didn't bring it up and present it as a slide, but I just was going to go through each of the scopes, mainly focusing on the ones that you would get. But generally, on a USDA GAP GHP audit, any of the scopes that you request to have audited on your farm will always have the general questions performed. If you request just the farm review, you would get an audit that covered the general questions and the farm review. If you requested just the house packing facility, Part 3, you would get general questions and Part 3. So that portion is always covered. By looking at the checklist, you should notice on the checklist there are points listed for each question. And depending on the weight of the question, they are either given 15 points or 5 points. As an example, having a documented traceability program, that is a weighted question, heavily weighted question, so it's considered 15 points. An auditor, while he's out at your site, will either give you the 15 points or you will get 0, or that question could be answered in A, which it would be subtracted from the total. To pass an audit, you need to get a final score for each scope of 80%. So you need to pass an audit, if you requested Part 1 and general questions, you would need to get 80% on both the general questions and Part 1 and average them together. In reviewing the checklist, you will also notice off to the right there is a column titled Doc. In that section is kind of a help just for the auditor as well as the auditee to see what they may be looking for. If there is it'll either have a P, D, or an R, or it'll be blank. If it's blank, the auditor, that's something he is going to either observe or through interview practices will find out whether that question should be answered yes or no. But the P indicates policy, basically what will be done, or what's in your SOPs, you've written what's going to happen. And R would be a record, which shows what has been done, And if it has a D, it could be a combination of both the policy and records. The general questions is a mandatory, like I said, a mandatory component for all of our audits, for all of this audit, excuse me. The first two questions state, do they have a documented plan? And the second one is, do they have a designated person in charge? Those two questions have to be answered yes. If they are answered no, that audit is going to be an automatic failure, and at that point, the auditor will give you the option of ending the audit right there, because essentially you can't have a food safety plan without a documented plan, as well as somebody in charge. The general questions also covers employee, visitor hygiene. It covers training of your employees, as well as sanitation of the farm or the facility. It also covers traceability. Each section will have some traceability. Well, I guess we don't have it there. You'll notice that we have part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. There's also a part 6, which I didn't show you because that's for distribution and warehouses. Part 5 used to be our traceability part. That is now incorporated into each of the individual parts, with exception of part 7. Part 1 is the farm review, and in that, the major sections in the farm review are water, which would include assessments, tests, and protection. Manure is in there. If it's used, documentation and records we're looking for. We also, in that big portion of that section, is animal and wildlife. Those kind of things include monitoring, observation. One of the big issues with under the animal and wildlife, when we go to some of the small farms, generally the farmers like to have their dog with them everywhere they go, and it's something that we noticed from Karen's PowerPoint. That's an issue as far as food safety. In part 1, we're also looking for land use history. Some of those things could be maps or planting records, testing records if necessary. Going on to part 2, the field harvest and field packing section. This section covers field sanitation, field harvesting and transportation, which could include a pre-harvest assessment, sanitation units, are they available to your staff, training of your staff, looking for training records, equipment, sanitation, which could include trucks, trailers, wagons, could be tubs, anything, as well as traceability. Traceability, again, like I mentioned before, is in just about every section here. And in traceability, we're always looking for one step forward, one step back. Part 3 covers the house packing facility. I don't know if anybody out there has a packing facility as well. It covers wash water, which includes the wash as well as processing water, packing line operation, general sanitation. Of this section, there is a pest control. So we're looking at, reducing the chances for mice or birds or anything to get into the facility, which could include traps, trapping program, or just anything like that. Again, there's the traceability of the products, one step forward, one step back, where they were shipped to. Generally, we like to see to the wholesale package so you can trace it to the pack date. Part 4 is the storage and transportation section. This could cover storage of bulk harvested products, such as like a big potato cellar, or it could also cover packed product, finished product in a storage, as well as the transportation. So this section covers the cleanliness of the storage areas, containers, pallets, if you're using the storage to keep your new containers, how they're stored, where they're stored, if they're stored in a way to reduce chances of contamination. This section also has a pest control. There's a temperature control. Our temperatures monitored. Are they appropriate? Is the cooling system cleaned on a regular basis? Who does that? When was it done? Those kind of things. Transportation and loading. This can be an issue with some of the larger packers in regards to What are they loading their products with? Are they putting them in a truck that just got back hauling meat or something that's been butchered, or something that chances for cross-contamination? So, they have a log that they visually inspect the truck to make sure it's clean, it doesn't smell, where some of those odors might get to the finished product. Employee hygiene, again, is in this section, as well as traceability. One step forward, one step back.